let's be real. We know the holidays can be really stressful. While some things, are out of our control, right? How we react is something we certainly can control. So Dr. Nika Guechi is joining us. She is the Executive Director of ASU's Center for Mindfulness, Compassion, and Resilience. So Dr. Nika, as everyone calls her, thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I think when we think of mindfulness, it's always hard to do ourselves, right? Like we could maybe talk to others, but it's hard for ourselves to take control of that.
Yeah. So mindfulness is simply a presence in the moment. It's an intentional being here now. And when we're talking about the holidays, they can be times of connection and happiness, but they can also be times of stress and anxiety. And I think that when we're dealing with difficult times, we tend to want to run through them to get to the next part, to get to the good part. But when we numb out the unpleasant, we also tend to numb the pleasant, and we miss the joy as it flies by.
Which a lot of people say that during the holiday, that it's things like that sometimes that happen, right? Like it's gone before we know it.
Yeah.
And then what did we really get out of that moment, right? So share with us some tips on how we can reach that mindfulness so that we can enjoy the holidays and be able to de-stress.
Well, mindful communication is one of my favorite mindfulness practices, and it's something that we can do without any expertise in mindfulness.
Okay.
Mindful communication allows us to take that intentional pause, those 5 breaths before we respond. And this could often mean the difference between an argument and a peaceful interaction. So like the author Viktor Frankl says, between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom.
And that is so true. If you think about those words, right? Doing it sometimes is the hardest part, as we talk about. Something that also affects why we maybe get stressed or why we can't get past that moment is social media. So you say really, really limit it.
Yes, limit it, but also know that the environment is kind of stacked against us when it comes to fragmenting our attention. So when we find ourselves scrolling through our phone, then let's give ourselves a little bit of grace and a little bit of non-judgment. But notice, how does this make you feel? Does this make you feel connected to your people, or does it make you feel inadequate and anxious?
Okay.
And so if it does, take that intentional pause and maybe do something else for a little while.
And you talk about how doing these things, not just once, but continuously. The consistency is what will help you.
Yes, the consistency is important in mindfulness.
All right. Thank you so much. I know we could talk about this for a while, but
thank you.
As we talk about the holidays and just giving some pointers, thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. Dr. Nika from ASU, guys. Scott?